Hi, it's me again. Um, this video I'm going to talk about my last days with my daddy and um, what happened when he passed away. My dad was a really bad diabetic, and um, I was seeing my fiance at the time, ex-fiance now, ex everything. But anyway, him and I were on the phone. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, I think. He was on his way to work, and we were talking on the phone. And I looked in my dad's bedroom, and I noticed that he was um, moving his legs like he was having a seizure. I told Tom to hold on, and I went in the other room, in my dad's room, and I said, "Dad, are you okay?" And he looked the opposite way of me. And when he talked, he said yes, but his mouth was like drawn, and he said it like he was slurring his speech, and I knew then he was having a stroke. I didn't know what to do. I was holding him up. Tom was on the phone. The front door was locked. Um, he kept pushing me because he wanted to get up, and I said, "You can't get up." And he said, "I don't know what your problem is, but I can get up." Well, I was trying to figure out how to make him sit there without trying to get up, because if he would have got up, he would have fell. And my dad had fell quite a few times before that, and I was too weak to pick him up because he was a large man, just like me, a large woman. So, anyway, finally I told him, hold on, I have to go tell Tom that I gotta sit in here with you. And he said, "Okay." I said, "Just sit here for a minute. Do you want something to drink?" And I told him I'd get him something to drink. I told Tom I had to go. I unlocked the door, and then I called 911. Well, he got pissed. He was so mad at me. He said, I told him, I said, "Dad, I think you're having a stroke." And he said, "All you ever do is analyze things." And I said, "No, Dad, I'm serious. I think you're having a stroke." Well, I said, "Move your right arm." Yeah, it was his right arm. And he said he was, but he wasn't. I said, "Where am I at?" And he pointed the opposite way. So the doctors had told us that um, the part of his brain that it affected was the part that it, it didn't let him know he had a stroke. So he really didn't think he did. Anyway, he went in the hospital. Um, they put him in rehab, and he was getting better. And one day I went to see him in rehab, and I checked his feet, and he knew how much I hated feet. I hate feet. Feet is disgusting to me. I hate them. I hate them. But I had to check his feet all the time when he was at home, because being a diabetic, his feet were numb, and if he would have got a sore or anything. But anyway, I took his sock off, and two of his toes were black. I had a fit. Because, see, this hospital had lost his corrective shoes that he had. So he was walking on shoes he shouldn't have been walking on. So I had a fit. Caused a big stink, problem, everything. Um, they bought him a new pair of shoes. He, they decided they were going to have to take him out of rehab and put him back in the hospital because they saw that he was getting gangrene. And of course they didn't notice before that day, and he had been in rehab for 5 days. So to me, they didn't check his feet at all. And that's why I had a fit. So they took him back to the hospital, and they said that they were going to have to amputate 2 of his toes. And they only ended up amputating 1 of his toes. I went and talked to the foot doctor that was there, and he said, we hope we don't have to do any more, but blah, blah. Anyway, I was at home, I think 2 days later, and they called and said that he wasn't responding to anything. And I went to the hospital. He didn't even know me. Finally, he came to. They told us what was happening was he was having many strokes. Well, he told me. It was the dreaded thing I didn't want to hear, because I wasn't going to face the fact that he wasn't coming home. He said, "Elizabeth, I'm not coming home." I said, "Don't say that, Dad." I said, "You have to walk me down the aisle because I'm going to get married." He said, "I'm not coming home." I said, "I refuse to believe that, because I need you. I need you with me because Mom's already gone and you can't leave me." I was holding on to his arm like I was 2 years old, saying, "You can't leave me." He said, "Elizabeth, Daddy isn't coming home." And he grabbed my hand and he kissed it. And he said, "I wish I could make everything better for you, but I can't." And I said, "I still won't believe it. Until you take your last breath, I won't believe it." So we talked to the doctors, and they told us that what would happen is he would just have mini stroke after mini stroke. And that's what started to happen. When you're a really bad diabetic, your vessels start shutting off and it just throws a clot. So the last day my dad was alive, pretty much, he wasn't really there. He was pretty much hollering for my mom. He was saying, "Ruth, Ruth." And I know he wanted to go. I know he was tired and he was ready to go. And he said, one of the last things he said was, "You're getting on my nerves." That was his famous saying to me all the time. Or, "You could talk all day and never say a word." That's what my dad used to always say. But anyway, he said, "You're getting on my nerves." And for other people, that might have hurt their feelings. But for me, that was an "I love you" from my dad, because that made me know that he knew who I was. So his breath kept getting shallow, more shallow. And I finally went up over to him. And I said, "You've been the best dad in the world. And I'll be all right. And you can go. I want you to go in peace." I was rubbing his bald head and holding his hand. And 45 seconds later, he was gone. And again, if any of you still have your parents, please, I beg of you, make sure that they know how much you love them while they're here. I have no regrets. I have little small regrets that we all do. I should have been a better daughter at times, but as far as anything else, I have no regrets. I was where I needed to be when they passed away, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew I had to. I hope